It's time for our daily show of Litter Media Live with the icon Mike Smith. I'm the no-con, Dan Ramey.
I think it should always be Mycon instead of icon.
He is the Mycon.
That way I'm
Mike
not,
Smith.
it's not like I'm actually saying that I am an icon.
Well, you're not. I am saying that you're an icon.
I want you to have some credibility.
Oh. So what you're saying is by being Mycon, which is a word we've made up, that's more credible than
It can be anything, you know.
saying that you really are.
An icon, yeah.
Today you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah, well, that's, we won't go there.
We'll not go there.
We'll
yes.
not go there.
Yeah. Welcome to the program. This is the Daily Show in which we tell you about the things that are going on across the Scioto Valley, not just the Scioto Valley, but extending over to part of the Appalachian Mountains, part of the western plains of Ohio, I guess. We might be one way of saying that. Earlier this morning, we had a fireworks talk, which I thought, granted I did the interview, but I thought it was a fun interview talking with Brian.
It was
Knowles.
iconic.
It was that, exactly. But just to learn the fact that Red, White, and Boom has more money and they can buy more shells, but the Chillicothe show will be just as good, if not bigger, because they have bigger fireworks.
Bigger shells, yeah.
I like that idea.
Yes, sir.
So it was great having a conversation with Brian. If you've missed that, you'll be able to see that. It's on our video page here on Facebook, but also a little bit later on today on our YouTube channel. And if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It's free, costs you nothing. And when you subscribe, there's a bell icon. If you click that, then you will get notification when we upload something new. Much like I did yesterday, last night, I finished up a flight that I took with the Litter Media drone, taking a look at the sky. Again, the sky is filled with smoke yet again today.
Yeah. They say that it's as it was about yesterday, but when you look at the little weather app here, the air quality is currently 132, and it was 107 when we were doing the show yesterday. So that's worse.
And I looked at the afternoon, and it was like 150 something.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to check Cleveland. And I went to Cleveland, and it was in the 300s.
Yeah, they're saying if you have any kind of respiratory issues, they are advising you to stay inside today.
While I was flying the drone, after I landed, I hopped in the car, and I thought, well, I'm going to drive over to the lookouts by the Star, where the Star normally is seen during the holidays. And, I mean, it was smoky. But on my way to that point, 4 people were jogging.
Oh, my.
And I thought,
not good.
Can't you jog inside?
Yeah.
Now, granted, the diehards, they're going to run, and no matter what the weather, whether it be snow, sleet, or hail, they're training for something. But that's a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
To take in.
As the scientists, there's particulates in the air that you're ingesting. So be careful out there, will you?
Follow the science.
Yeah.
Trust the science as they tell us
Yeah.
to do.
More smoke in the air today.
Yes.
In fact, the air quality alerts in place, although as far as the sun is concerned and clouds, it's going to be partly sunny, a high of 87. There is a chance of rain. In fact, the last check, there was some thunderstorms coming across southeastern Indiana. I think that might stay south of us. Now, what you're seeing there, I've got something that was even more up to date.
What you're seeing there looks to me like it is yesterday's weather, because I remember presenting it, but not putting it in the show.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. Well, those are in southeast Indiana now. I think they may dive a little south of us. The rain we're talking mostly about is this evening and into the overnight.
Yes. Now, quickly before we go on, I do want to tell you we adjusted our website yesterday, adding an air quality measuring guide. This is something from the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, I think. And you can find that right beneath the radar on our website, littermedia.com. So if you happen to look at that on your desktop, it'll go right there. We're having an issue with it on our mobile phones, but if you're looking at it on a desktop computer, it's right there for you, and you can see what the air quality index is for today in our location.
Right.
Coming up in just a moment to look at news, but first we want to tell you about one of our fantastic sponsors, Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. You talk about air quality outside, well, there's air quality inside your home that you need to take care of too, and they can help you with that. If you want to learn more, click on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com, and you will find out why Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is your trusted comfort advisor. News next.
If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just
It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
I think before we go to news, you got to tell me what you just explained to me off air so that our listeners will know what's going on.
We have a maintenance contract with Accurate, and they come out twice a year, one time to look at the air conditioning unit, the next time for heating. And typically, your filter should last anywhere from 1 to 3 months, depending on how dirty the air is. And the guy said, do you want me to change your filter for you? And I said, well, I just changed it 2 weeks ago. And he showed me, and it was filthy. And I said, what in the world? And he said, it's the smoke in the air. So check on that, folks.
Once again, your air quality, and check your filters. And I was telling Mike that I don't use a disposable. Mine is one of those that you can take out and you can wash it and stick it back in. So I need to double check mine when I get home.
Yeah, might help.
Check your filter.
Yes, sir.
And check on your neighbors too, and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
All right, what is making news today on our website, littermedia.com?
Well, volunteers are being sought for the Produce Market Days sponsored by the Hope Clinic of Ross County. Volunteers are needed to bag and distribute groceries. Student clubs, work teams, church groups, or families are welcome to serve during this community event. Arrival teams for volunteers are usually 4 p.m. on the days that they need you and requires about 2 to 3 hours of your time. Now, if you go to our website story at littermedia.com, you'll find the upcoming dates that Hope Clinic needs you for the produce market. Chillicothe Ross Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with Ignite Appalachia and the Women's Business Centers of Central Appalachia at Shawnee State University, completed their first business pitch program for Ross County at Ohio University Chillicothe. Participants competed in a business pitch competition that evening where they showcased their business in front of a panel of judges after meeting for 7 weeks prior. Logan Deddy, and I believe it's pronounced Loge Media and Loge Marketing, took first place for his business expansion presentation and will go on to compete in the regional competition on August the 5th. But the other placements in that competition are also listed within our story at littermedia.com.
I have a problem, and that problem is I'm distracted by certain things. I'm pretty sure we got a straighter picture than this. This looks like it's off a little bit.
Well, only you would notice that.
Yeah.
9/10 of our audience could care less. City of Chillicothe has been selected to receive a $12,500 AARP Community Challenge Grant. The city is one of 7 in Ohio and one of only 310 grantees selected out of 3,600 from all 50 states and territories of the United States. With this quick action grant, the city will be able to install ADA, that's American with Disabilities Act, compliant walkways within the new 6th Ward Park, which we've been telling you about in recent months. Railroad Street Park in Hillsboro has a new look. The basketball courts have been resurfaced and the court lines painted. The Festival of the Bells, which is coming up July 6th through 8th, will be hosting a basketball tournament at Railroad Street Park this year. Be sure to check the details on the Festival of the Bells website for more information.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
It looks like, I like the idea that it looks like there's a hillside there. So if you miss the basket or you overshoot the basket, the ball doesn't roll down the hill.
Yeah.
It rolls up the hill and comes back to you.
Which where I grew up out near Latham, it rolled down the hill. Yeah. That's why I got to be a runner, not a basketball player. Shawnee State University and the SSU Alumni Association have announced dates for this year's homecoming weekend alumni, family, and community celebration. SSU Homecoming Weekend will be September 15th and 16th, with events held throughout the week leading up to the weekend celebration. Shawnee State University's homecoming is open for all alumni, family members, and community members to attend. Again, that's right there in front of you, September 15th and 16th. Light Up the Sky 4th of July in Portsmouth will actually be Saturday, July 1st, at the historic Spartan Stadium in Portsmouth. That gets underway with gates open at 5 p.m. Cost is $5 per person. Kids aged 17 and under get in free. Now, there's live music from 6:30 to 8 p.m., and then the fireworks display will be approximately 10 p.m. Activities for the kids include inflatables, dunk tank, water slide, the Southern Ohio Jelly Ball. I have no idea what that is. And a wide variety of food trucks will be serving food and drinks in Portsmouth, down by the river.
Jelly Ball.
I have no idea what that is.
I got to go to Google while you're doing this.
ODOT road report in Highland County. Work has gotten underway for a resurfacing project on State Route 41 between the Adams County line and the Pike County line. Obviously, it's Highland, Adams, and Pike. There's a point there where they all converge. State Route 41 will be reduced to one lane daily from 7 to 5 Monday through Friday for this construction. Traffic will be maintained using flaggers, and they believe that project will be done sometime this summer. And those are your topics for this Thursday, June 29th.
I'm still searching this Jelly Ball thing.
Yeah.
I want to find out what it is here.
Unless it's pronounced Gelly Ball. It actually was a G. Jelly, like on your bread, that's J.
But gel
is G.
G-E-L. Yeah. So
Jelly Ball.
Yeah.
Somebody that's watching the show, if you have any idea what that is, you might text us. Or you might just have to go to maybe that's the they don't. What's that there?
Forgive me. I had a radio bit going through my mind, which was Earl Pitts, or not Earl Pitts, but Gilbert Gnarly calling up the KY Jelly plant.
Kentucky.
Talking about the Kentucky jelly. It's kind of bland.
Yeah, really.
Said, sir, you're not supposed to eat it.
I think we see Jelly Ball there.
So Jelly Ball is a revolutionary lower-impact shooting game for all ages. With commercial-grade battery-powered blasters, you'll launch hydrated gel orbs at targets or other players in a variety of game scenarios for the whole family to enjoy. So it looks as though it's a softened version of paintball.
Paintball, yeah.
Is what it looks like to me.
I would want the softened version. They say that paintball can be painful if it hits you just in the right or wrong place, however you want to look at it.
But the Jelly Ball ammo, here's the big difference, is 90% water.
Oh, yeah.
Biodegradable and non-toxic. No paint, no stain, no mess.
I got that.
Just little red rings around you before you get hit.
Give me Jelly Ball any
by
day.
the Jelly Balls. So, yeah.
Oh, well. We better move on quickly before we get into trouble.
We've had enough pastry. We could be Jelly Balls.
That's right, yeah.
In that regard. All right, just ahead, a look at sports. We've got some good news to share with you here this morning, so we'll share that for you here in just a moment. Also, this date in history takes us back to
1958.
1958. The year before you were born.
A year before I was born.
All right. That's coming up in just a moment. But first, these words.
Dixie Chopper. Speed when you need it.
Visit your local Dixie Chopper dealer today or visit dixiechopper.com.
Whenever I first applied for the ArchWiz opportunity, oh, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
All right, it is time to take a look at sports as soon as our picture returns.
Hey.
Let there be.
And we really don't coordinate on shirt colors. It just happens.
We've matched, 3 times this week?
I'd say we're batting 700, on that.
You have to wear your McDonald's shirt again tomorrow.
Yeah. Speaking of batting 700, Chillicothe Paint slugger Tim Orr has been knocking it out of the park of late.
Let me get to,
I gave him to you.
Oh.
No, wait a minute. No, it's in there.
It's in there?
Yeah, keep looking down. Well, okay, yeah, there you go. They got smoked out last night.
Mike set up the show today, by the way. So
you got to X out over there. They got smoked out last night, literally because of the Canadian wildfire. So they're making it up as a doubleheader today. This was caught last night on the screenshot, 5 o'clock today. Now, this guy, Tim Orr, somewhere we're going to get to Tim. Hello. There we go. Tim Orr hitting .385, 10 hits, scored 9 runs, 10 RBIs. Look at his on-base percentage. So that has earned him the Prospect League Hitter of the Week.
1.237.
That's getting it. That's getting it, folks. And I think he had, 2 game-winning walk-offs. He set up the walk-off that he scored on a sacrifice fly in the 3rd straight game that he was a big part of that win. So Paint's on a roll, and so is this guy, Tim Orr.
He was a big part of the team last year, and I have heard secondhand information he was more than happy to get back here this year.
Oh, I bet, yeah. Obviously having a good time. Now the standings, they're 17-8 right now. And as we talked yesterday, we got to be nearing here the end of the first half. And unless they just completely fall apart over the weekend, they are a strong bet to win the first half division title, which will put them in the postseason playoffs.
It takes this group of kids time to gel. And do you remember when they were right at 500? And then they've gone on this string of wins. And the difficulty that all these guys go through is they're being brought in from all over the country, and then they have to learn to play together as one unit.
Yeah.
And Chillicothe, for whatever reason, has found the secret of how to make that happen. And we are the benefactors as fans.
Yeah, they don't get long spring training like the big leagues teams do. But looking good right now for the Chillicothe Paints. Doubleheader today in Johnstown. How about this team? The Reds. They win the series at Baltimore, 11-7, the final last night.
And how about this guy?
I like Will
Benson. He was batting 0.8, and he managed to, last night, he needed one more hit, a home run, to hit for the cycle.
Yeah.
Would that not have been something last night if he would have hit for the cycle?
Right. After it was
De La Cruz did it last week.
30-some years. Now, we have standings for this one, too, if you click off there. With the Reds win, the Brewers also won last night, so the Reds remain in first place by a half a game over the Brewers. But 5 games above 500. The Reds are off tonight. They come home for a weekend set against San Diego, who I understand is struggling right now.
Yes.
The Padres are struggling.
I think they only have 38 wins.
Yeah.
And you look at their payload on their their list of players, their roster, so to speak, and it seems like they should really be gangbusters.
So the Reds and the Paints aren't the only Ohio teams in first place. So are now the Cleveland Guardians. They, with a win last night, 14-1 over Kansas City, even though they're under 500, they lead the Twins by a half a game. When was the last time that the Reds and any team in Cleveland, as in Indians or Guardians, were in first place at the same time?
Maybe opening day.
When it was 0-0. And I think you showed me the other day, they don't play each other till like August.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while. Wouldn't it be neat if they're both in first place at that time?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
The Reds have the Brewers coming up before they jump into the All-Star break. So that'll be a big weekend series. And I think that's being played in Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. Milwaukee, meanwhile, they have been playing Pittsburgh. I think it was
the Mets last night.
Was it the Mets?
Last two
okay.
nights, yeah.
But I think they played Pittsburgh earlier, or maybe they're going to play Pittsburgh, and they've got Chicago coming up also. So a lot of their games are going to be interdivisional games, so we'll see how things play out, if the Reds will get any help from the Pirates or from the Cubs.
One other baseball story that did not involve Ohio that was pretty big last night. For only the 24th time in Major League history,
and it would be a Yankee,
somebody pitched a perfect game. Domingo Germán is how you pronounce it. It's spelled like it's German. He pitched a perfect game in the Yanks' 11-0 win over Oakland. And good news for the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. They got the number 3 pick in the NHL draft.
Another Michigan kid.
Adam Fantilli was picked, and I guess he won what was the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy for
his
hockey.
freshman year.
Yeah, freshman year. So he's on board now with the CBJ.
When you say Herman is spelled German, is that like in a Bavarian way, or
German
is actually how it's spelled?
Yeah,
so
but it's Herman. We did a pronunciator that Google had. It didn't get it right. I went to an
Mike was doubting me. He said, "Well, this is what it says. It says this."
What's the old saying? If it's on the internet, it's true.
No, if it's Dan Ramey says it, it's not true. That's what it is.
So I went to an ESPN report where they just called this kid up, and they had the Herman pronunciation,
which is what I said it was.
I just don't trust anybody. I have to double check.
Doesn't trust.
I'm a news guy. I got to double check.
He's the most trusted, and that's why he is the most trusted name in news.
Yeah,
right there.
Well, most trusted in local news. Somebody's going to have to change that. that promo that I heard this morning, but that's another matter altogether.
Coming up, this date in history. Maybe there are certain businesses that need a dumpster. and Scioto Valley Dumpsters is there to help.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't have to be maybe you're leaving a job and you want to clean out the house that you've been living in for all these years.
Yes.
You want to maybe you've got a rental and you have evicted someone and you need to clean all that stuff out. Whatever the case may be, if you need a dumpster, Scioto Valley Dumpsters is the place to call. 740-253-8389. And they don't do just dumpsters. Find out more when you call Carl and tell him that Dan and Mike sent you. This date in history, next.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
At Rathkamp Financial, we offer customized investment solutions and superior client service. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
All right, this date in history takes us back to 1958, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not very knowledgeable about the game of soccer as far as the personnel is concerned. Even with the athletes today that are considered, some of the all-time greats.
Oh, you have your defensemen, you got your strikers, you got your goalkeeper.
Well, I mean named personnel.
Gotcha.
But I have always known about this guy.
And it all started in 1958.
Yeah.
Everybody knew about him after this.
Fellow that played for the country of Brazil by the name of, this was not his full name, but everybody knew him as Pele. Brazil defeats host nation Sweden 5-2 to win its first World Cup. Pele put on a show of offensive brilliance against the second-best team in the tournament. He scored 3 goals from his left side and left the French team dumbfounded at their inability to contain a 17 years old. Pele scored 2 goals in the championship game against Sweden, but that 3-goal performance was against France. But Pele leads Brazil to their first ever World Cup on this date in 1958.
This brings us to a radio moment, and this would be one that you and I did not experience together.
Okay.
There are many radio moments that we didn't experience together. One of them was we were the first to do play-by-play of soccer matches on local radio, and so I attribute that to Pat Hyland. Pat Hyland knew the game. He had been a soccer official at one point in time, and so he was my sidekick for my doing the play-by-play of what we were watching. And then we got really wise, and we said, let's bring in some other people that know what they're talking about. Not that you don't, but that these guys will be able to do it. And so Mike McCorkle is one of those that helped us out, and many others have helped us out too, doing that over the years. I don't think they've done soccer since I left. But
yeah,
the one experience I'm talking about here is one that's set up by Mr. Dan Latham, sir. We, as a radio station, were an affiliate for the Columbus Crew. When the Crew came out, Dan Latham was all about soccer. His kids played soccer. He got right on board with what they were doing. So they wanted to begin a radio network for soccer. And so when they did, we became an affiliate, WBEX. So what happened afterwards, there is a moment in time where the San Jose Earthquakes Spanish-speaking radio crew did not have equipment for a broadcast. They had a broadcaster. They didn't have the equipment to facilitate it. So they reached out to the radio station. It was almost like said, I know a guy. And so they reached out to Dan Latham. Dan Latham turns to me and he says, what do you think? You want to do this? And I'm like, you mean I'm going to, yeah. And I said, okay. I don't know what to expect. So I took every piece of remote equipment we had because I'm thinking, this needs to go right.
Yeah.
So I took everything we had. I'm strolling through Crew Stadium.
Anyway.
And yeah, I do. And I always forget something. It's amazing. Yeah. But when I got there, I got a chance to meet the announcer. And so I was setting up all the equipment, and in walks, and forgive me, I cannot remember all of his name. I believe it was something like Cesar Garcia or something like that.
Smith.
But he was, if I remember correctly, he was Mexican-born, a Mexican international coming to Columbus, and but he was in Southern California working for the Earthquakes. And so he came, and he was a radio host in San Francisco, I believe, at the time. So we had a wonderful lunch together. We sat down before, and just as you and I were sitting here just talking, and then suddenly he would kick into his natural language. And this really blew my mind. One of the Columbus Crew members, who was not Latino, he steps down, sits down, and just starts, they are rattling off Spanish to and fro. And I'm thinking, man, I should have paid more attention in Spanish class.
Yeah, really.
I took 2 years of it at Teys Valley, and that was all but it was fantastic. There is no other game made for the Latin language.
Right.
It is rhythmic. It is fantastic. And when they scored, the Earthquakes won the game 2-0. And it was the first half. They scored a goal just before halftime. He belts out the goal, just like we've heard over the years. And I'm like, that's the guy.
That's the guy,
Not realizing that many other people do it too. But I said to myself, I hope, I'm kind of rooting for the Crew, but I'm working for the Earthquakes here. It'd be cool to hear him do it again because I'm going to time it. 18 seconds.
Oh, my gosh. How did he breathe?
18 seconds.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm thinking, I got to go! And I'm waiting for him to pass out. He didn't pass out.
Isn't there somebody that goes, go, 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 go?
Yeah, go, 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 go.
That wasn't him, though.
That wasn't him.
Okay.
No. But it was entertaining.
If Cliff Brown would have been around?
He would have loved it. He would have loved it. But I will tell you that he was going through all this stuff, and I knew nothing that he was saying. Nothing. I heard goal. I knew that.
Yeah.
And so at halftime, I walk over, and the boss is sitting over in the stands close to the press box. And I said, hey, boss, this is the guy. He does this. And I said, if they score again, I'm going to time him. And so after everything was done, we're in the post-game show. He is continuing to fluently speak in Spanish, and then I hear the names Dan Ramey and Dan Latham, and I'm like, I remember those names.
Yeah, how about that?
I recognize what he said, but he was thanking us for facilitating the equipment to put them on the air.
Yeah.
It was 2.5 hours of just incredible fun.
When I was watching Ellie De La Cruz's one of his post-game interviews, there's a translator there. And when he's rattling off what he's saying, every once in a while you'll hear a word or a name that's like, okay, I got that, but everything else I'm waiting for the. I just wonder how much the translator, as far as word for word, this happened, I guess, at one of the presidential press conferences years ago.
Oh yeah,
where the guy didn't. I think it was Russian. He didn't get it all. That's how you start a war.
I'm pushing the button.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's word for word. Yeah, but that would be a challenge.
That brings us to another radio moment, listening to Joe Nuxall interview Tony Perez when he was a player.
Oh, God.
Post-game shows. You already had Joe, who was, can we say sloshed?
Probably on a few occasions.
Because there was this is well before the years of cutting off beer sales at the 7th inning. And to hear him have this conversation with Tony, who had broken English, was hilarious. It was entertaining, well worth sticking around for the start of the game show.
I can remember Tony oftentimes saying, I heat the ball like I was at a picnic. Yeah, Tony Perez, one of our Jim Day's favorite players.
I was asked at one point in time, you ever had an interview like that? And I said, well, the closest thing I can, and I'm going to preface my remarks with this. He knows about this, and we've joked about this before. Napoleon Cross is no longer with us. But when he first moved up here from Arkansas.
Arkansas, keep that in mind, Arkansas.
His accent was so thick, and the way he was speaking, I couldn't keep up with. And I didn't know what to ask next.
Yeah, really.
My follow-up question was something like, I have no idea what he's saying. and even when he was coaching one of the players, and I'll not say who this was, but one of the players went back to the huddle after the little confab at the bench, says, what did he say?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Napoleon got all that together, and God rest his soul. Napoleon's no longer with us, but he was a fun guy to work with. He really was. But when he first came, it was hard to understand.
It was a challenge,
yeah.
The only time I ever interviewed Tony Perez, unfortunately for Tony, was the 1 year, well, it wasn't even a year, that he tried to manage the Reds and he was fired after 44 games.
22-22.
We were interviewing him at the Reds Caravan in Cincinnati, and that was my only opportunity to speak to him as far as a one-on-one interview. So.
Now, Dave Concepcion I had a chance to meet up with, and this was back early in my radio days, and I had written him a letter when I was in the 6th grade or 7th grade, because I was the shortstop for our softball team, our church softball team, the Scioto, what do we call ourselves? The Scioto Methodist Raiders, I think it was. Go figure. But at any rate, I wrote him a letter. I said, how can I improve my game? And when he wrote back, it was written the way he spoke.
Oh, golly.
And I'm like, but it was a handwritten letter, and it was Dave Concepcion's handwriting because it looked just like his signature. And so during my early days of radio, he was no longer a player, but he was in the clubhouse, and I gone in to talk to some of the players after a game, and I said, Mr. Concepcion, and he's like, oh, call me Davey. And I'm like, I wrote you a letter when I was in. Oh, what did I say?
I don't know.
I couldn't read it.
I can't read it, yeah. I met Davey once at my cousin's wedding. He married a gal that was working for the late Jim Winters, who was the head of the Reds
PR
and broadcasting at that time.
Media relations.
But there were 2 or 3 players there. Joe Nuxall was there, but Davey, that was an interesting conversation too. Yeah. Oh, wow.
We've had a lot of cool moments in our career. Yeah. One of the things I was preparing for today, perhaps I'll be better prepared for tomorrow. So this popped up in my Facebook memories today. You, during one of our early shows with Litter Media, asked, how many shows have we done together?
Oh, wow.
And
Did you actually try to count them?
Well, I started doing the math on some of this, and the difficulty comes into play where we had so many vacation times, so many personal days off through iHeartMedia that, you know, there were times where you and I didn't work together. There were times where you worked for me. There were times when we had several individuals fill in for me, and you were there. But if we were to sit down and say the show itself, I think I've got a number that...
it's like Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon when Johnny would go to Vegas for a couple of weeks.
You know, he had a lot of guests, hosts.
Yeah.
I think Bill Cosby became the regular.
Yeah.
Jay Leno several times, Joan Rivers.
Right. I think David Brenner was a frequent host.
Yeah. Did David Letterman ever fill in for him?
You know, I don't remember that he did. I don't remember that he ever did. No.
Yeah. But the thing was, they didn't associate off camera, from what I understand.
That's what they said. That's what they said. But they were good friends on the air.
It's kind of the same with Mike.
I hate his guts. I
mean, as soon as this camera shuts off, Mike
it's
is out
like
the door.
I poke him in the head and I'm out of here. Yeah.
No, we get along. We do. That's it for the program today. Thank you so much for watching and enduring us as well. Be safe out in the smoky weather today. And again, if you don't have to be out, call in sick.
Yeah.
Take a moment.
Yeah.
Tell them Mike Smith said I could do
But if
that.
you stay inside, keep your windows down. Use the air conditioning. Yeah,
absolutely. And remember to check your filters as well. Right. And to check on the elderly folks that live close by. And for some of us, that's becoming us. That's the elderly side.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it for the show. Talk to you tomorrow with another edition of Litter Media Live.